So it's either we're blind, we're deaf, or we're dumb, or we're pretending we're blind, deaf, or dumb. Because we look at so much American television that by now you would think that we would know what the white liberal globalists mean when they say sexual and reproductive health. By now, for all the American television we consume, I am goddamn sure that we understand what these Democrats and these white liberals mean when they say sexual and reproductive health. That is code word, pretty much code word for abortion. So this is what this is about. Sexual and reproductive health. That is what they mean. Given access, and some of you guys are so goddamn scared to say what it really is. So if you pretended you didn't know, then guess what? I'm going to be the one to bring it to the forefront. That is what, and you know that, that is what the white liberal Democrat means when he says or she says sexual and reproductive health. It's code word. It's to make it more palatable. Okay? It's to soften the effect. This is about access to abortions. This is what this is about. To lower the age so that your young girl can have access to abortions. That's all it is about. And they're willing to provide funding for these things. So somebody asked a very pertinent question. They said, wait. Okay, so kids do not need consent from their parents, but the question was asked, who's going to pay? Who's going to pay the medical bills for these access? Well, I tell you, that's not difficult. The white liberal, the globalist democrats have figured this out. They're going to provide the funding. They have a plan. Through the NGOs and organizations, they will fund all of this for young kids in Grenada. So you don't worry about that. That's not a problem. The finances is not a problem. They are willing, capable, and able and on board to fund this and alter your society. That is part of the agenda. They will spare no expenses to alter your society. That is the power that they wield. Yeah, but again, so all these little Christian voices, they're like silent. All these industry Christian voices. Where you guys now? Where all of you who are praying for the NDC and praying for morality when Dr. Keith Mitchell was in power? Huh? Where's your sense and compass of morality now, huh? It's gone. You're silent on the issue. You're mute. As if you don't know. You're pretending you don't know what this is about. So again, as I have said before, this is not something that the NDC, the center leftists, can negotiate. They are part, as I have said, of the globalist Democrat Party and Progressive Alliance. And that is the agenda that is being promoted by their bosses of all bosses. They don't have no say in that. They got to play ball. Else they'll squeeze them by the corners. They know that. You, the regular masses who do not understand how this works, are the ones that are caught in all of this. You're the ones who've been bamboozled. You're just figuring it out. Well, guess what? You're late. What happened? All of a sudden you stop pray? Civic voices stop talk? Christians stop pray for morality? Whoa! Whoa! It just reflects, okay, on the mentality of the society at large. It just reflects how the society is drifting away from conservatism, and you've been intoxicated with the new age, new life doctrine. And you also Christian people, where are you now? This is a central issue that you would think that the loudest voices would be the Christians who are praying. Remember, you're praying. You're praying like 10 pundits. Remember? Keith Mitchell was the epitome. Okay? He was the epitome of all the wrong things. And you were praying. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm some sort of incredible fan of his, But I'm just trying to show you your level of utter, plain-sighted hypocrisy. What happened? They paid you off? It's there in the scriptures. St. Paul warned the church about all of this, Okay? He warned the church about all of this. How politicians and you guys talk about you're followers of Jesus. I keep telling you. What did Jesus tell you to do? Be as wise as serpents and as calm as doves. That is not being wise as serpents. You allow the world of mammon, okay, to overtake you and to manipulate you and use you for their political benefits. When you would think Christians would be wiser and you should be using them. So these politicians outsmarted you. Where's your wisdom? Huh? What a shame. Because you're busy emotionalizing. You're busy singing and dancing to the tunes. And that is the distraction. You know what you're busy looking at? Sensationalism, fight, and your Facebook mafia cursing out people who are trying to tell you what's right and what's wrong. You're busy cursing out people who are trying to tell you what is your best interest. So you're blinded. You're emotionally intoxicated that you don't even understand the issues before you. And that is not an accident. That is exactly how they want their pawns. That is exactly how they want their pawns. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to think rationally or critically. No, that is dangerous to them. So the more they emotionalize and they got you in a trance and you're intoxicated by their speeches, that is where they get the opportunity to do exactly what they want. So don't sit there and pretend, oh, sexual and reproductive health. Isn't that a really nice catchphrase? Oh, sexual and reproductive health. So they attach these words, sexual reproductive health. Yeah, that's what they catch you. These people are masters. You think that these charlatans that run your country are doctors of spin? Or they're the smart ones? Or they're cunning? Man, you don't even have a clue of the level of cunning and deceit. Okay? Masters of deceit. That these globalists, these global white liberals, you don't even have a clue. You don't even have a clue. Okay, you're not even in their league. So this agenda doesn't emanate from NDC. This emanates from the boss of all bosses. These guys got to play ball. You think these guys can say anything? They got to play ball. But this is what you want. This is what you like. This is what you want for your society. Embrace it. That's what you like. Anything goes. Go ahead. Corrupt and destroy the strongest part of your population, your youth. Continue to do it. This is the opportunity. Let the globalist democrats control the mentality and the thinking of your youth. Go ahead. This is what you want. You see who they're targeting? All in the name of sexual and reproductive health. Your young women. Your potential mothers. Okay? That's who they're targeted. Yo, these people. Yo, well, I mean, sometimes it's not considered wise to fool people who are not thinking too clearly, right? So you can't say they're too wise because obviously you're not even challenging them. You know what I'm saying? So this is like easy peasy for them. Then you've elected the go along, get along gang who just facilitate. That's what they're there for, to facilitate. You see, you didn't understand where these people get their funding from. You didn't understand their campaign contributions. You don't even understand what's happening to you. Okay? Because you know why? You're busy singing, whining, and jamming. How the heck you gonna see what's going on? You're too busy drinking rum. You're too busy drinking Diana girl. How the heck you gonna understand what's going on? But they love when you're like that. They love when you're not rationally thinking. They love when you're not critically thinking. They're happy. And I understand the youth that are being deceived. It's youthful indiscretion. They're not thinking too straight. It's wine, woman, and song they're thinking about now. But you grown people, I hold extremely responsible, okay? Who you think would have some sense of conscience, who you think would have some sense of compass, but you don't. You are the ones that are worse than kids. You are more intoxicated, you're acting more drunken than these young kids. And some of you don't even drink, but you're intoxicated. You're socially intoxicated. You're intoxicated by sweet speeches. And you're so blind, okay, that you will sell your souls. You will sell your personal morality. You'll sell your personal integrity because I'm your law. Some of you pretending you're going to church every Sunday. You understand? But when you leave the church, you become an entirely different political animal. So the bottom line is this. You know, I know, we all know. We watch enough American television to understand that. Okay? That much we understand. That whenever the Democrats or the white liberal or the progressive alliance internationally uses the expression sexual and reproductive health, it's code word for access to abortions. Bottom line, that's what it is. These people don't care about no actual sexual and reproductive health. Okay? They don't care about that. Trotzdem guten Nacht. Du musst selbst denken.